Hello everyone, my name is Maxime Chagnot. I'm a CATIA consultant working for PLM Technology in Norway, and today I will perform a live demonstration of the 3DExperience release 19x on cloud. Today I will show you a new application called xGenerative design. And this application allows you to design very advanced and complex shape in a few clicks, and especially with no knowledge of scripting. So the difference with this application compared to other design application is, first, this one is based online, meaning that you will find it on the 3DExperience web interface and not on the rich client. And second, this application will, instead of working with a vertical specification tree, you will work with a graph or a map of the features. And finally, what I would say is this application is pretty new and I'm not that familiar with it. So I'm going actually to use a sheet that I already created, and you can just redo it. It's very simple and it will show you basically what you can do with this great tool. So first of all, we will go to the 3DExperience web interface. So I already have the link here. I log on my profile. So as I said before, this is based online, so it's Google Chrome I'm using here and no rich client. You can find this application here on the 3D compass on the very bottom at xGenerative design. But first, what I will do here is, as you can see, I'm in my first dashboard. I can even create a tab, a new tab, where I will have the tool in it. So I'm just going to rename it to xgen for xGenerative, okay? And from there, you can just grab and drop the tool, the application. Okay, and from there already you can walk. So let's start by creating a model. I will call it test xGenerative design, and you can also decide in which collaborative space you want to have it. I will put it in mine directly. Okay. Great, so now the tool has been launched and we can start designing. So as you can see, it looks very much like a 3D design application, except that I will double click on the design sequence or specification, and you will see I will have a new window that pop up, and this will be the graph we are going to work with. And it is so important that I'm going actually to put it on the side there, and I want to have the 3D viewer on this other side of the screen. So as you can see, I will work half on the graph, half on the 3D viewer, or more or less this one will show you the result of our design. So what I'm going to do today is a very basic surface divided in many sections, and we will extrude all these sections and give different color of them. So the first thing you want to do is to create a surface. Then we will create the divide section, and finally we will create the color. So we can split in three regions our design. Let's start by the simple parts. Maybe first I will introduce you a bit the tool. So you have two different things here. Here you can directly find some feature for designing. Okay, you can create a plane, you can create a curve, etc. Even you have the feature for creating an extrude, for example, as the surface, and you have some operation, you know, like in CATIA, join, disassemble, split, etc. But I don't really want to work with the 3D application there. I would prefer to work with the graph. You will see it's very easy to deal with. Okay, how does this graph works? As you can see, I can even put it in the full screen just to show you. We have several tabs here, and these are the feature. Something you should know is you can just take the feature and drag and drop it directly on the graph there or on the map. And when you click on it, you have several options. So if, for example, I take integer, okay, you can decide if you want to min or max, and you can decide if you want to have a slider or not. Great. So these are the inputs, meaning that this can only be used at the beginning. If you see what I mean, if I take, for example, another feature, assemble, for example, this feature has needs an input and will give an output. So meaning that if I have inputs there, I can connect this like that. So the input is at the very beginning. In that case, it does not work. It gives you a small message because you cannot combine a lens with a join. What else? Another thing I like with this tool is you can just write in the bottom the feature you want. So if you want assemble, it's called assemble compared to V5 it's called, or CATIA in general it's called join, but in that application it's called assemble. So you just have to remember or learn a bit the new name of the feature, but as you can see we can find boundary here, and it's very easy to just write after some trial to just write the feature you want. So you see point, then I have all the point I can do in this application. Okay, so I will not go through all the different features. For my part, I've been learning it a bit myself, just by playing and doing, and it worked pretty well after some time. I was able to create some pretty advanced shape. So I was pretty pleased with that tool. So most important thing you need to know is that you will start with the input, then you have some tool that's more at the end when you want to publish your geometry. The list feature are pretty important in this application. We will go through that later. Then you have some basic control operation, same as mathematical operation. This can be very helpful when you want to multiply two things together or plus minus. This can be very nice. Then you have all the geometry feature, and you have plenty of them. So we will just play a bit with them as well. You have some measure. I haven't used a measure that much myself, but you can indeed use like surface area, for example, if you want to need the surface of the area of the surface, for example. And finally, you have two other things. You have images and color. We will use color in that video, not that much about images, but what I understood is you could, for example, take an image and make a design based on that image, using, for example, black and white and control. I'm not that familiar with that, but I'm sure you can do pretty good stuff. Okay, let's start by designing what we want to do. I will make first a surface. And pretty simple, I will just start by making 4 points, 4 lines, a join, and a fill. So let's start by making the points. And to do that, I will write point. I will go to points by coordinates. Okay, so here you can see, you can even rename the name. I will just call it 1, or it's not very important here. We can see it there directly in the 3D. I will, you know what, 0, 0, 0, it should be okay for the moment. Let's see if we modify it after. I'm going to duplicate it, and this one I will put on the Z axis. What about 100 millimeter? Okay, so that will be here in the 3D. We can even put some, let's put -10 in the X. Yes, just to, I don't want to make just a simple square. I want to go a bit more advanced. Again, I can modify it. And let's continue like that. I will do number 3, I will do in that area. So I will do the opposites, -100 for the X and maybe 10. Okay. What about 20, and even put a bit of set direction. So it's not easy for you to see for the moment. It will be easier when we'll create the surface. Again, you can rename that. I think I like the way it's you can rename feature. It's very easy. And finally, I will do the last point that will be in that region here. So I will do kind of a square, but a bit different. So -100, -120, and let's put 50 as the height. Number 4, okay, I don't see the point there. Maybe I've done it a bit too far. Let's see, let's do it again. -100, 100. Okay, and minus, no, 120. Yeah, that was a mistake. 120. Yeah, it was on the other side there. And 50 in the height. I just want to give also a bit of height of this one. Okay, and now we will just, this one is also the 0 points. We don't need it, so we can just hide it. And so we have the 4 points there. Let's make some line now. So I will just, you see how I'm working? I'm just writing directly. So line number 1, I will select this point here, the 1, 2. Okay, I will just copy that. And then I want to do 1, 3. Okay, I will do 2, 4. 2 and 4. And I will finish by making 3 and 4. So pretty simple. You see it's becoming like a shape, or it's only line for the moment, but you will see I will now, before creating a surface, I need to join all this line together to make kind of a boundary. So it's not called join. You see, if I write join, it does not work. I will call assemble. It is the same feature. So I will select this. Oh, I know what I've done here. I forget one feature. Yes, I'm right. I forget one feature. Before, we cannot join, as you can see, we can only join 2 elements. So I will remove this and I will go to the list. And what I want is to take the append list. Basically, I'm going to select several elements and add them to my list. So you will see, I select all my lines and you even can see the value. So you see here I have 4 lines that I'm going to assemble. And now they are assembled. And finally, I will just go to the fill. So fill feature there will just fill my outer contour and give me a surface. So it's pretty nice. It's the surface I wanted. Great. Okay, we are done with this shape. So now what you can do, so indeed here I could also rename all my feature, but for the video I'll just keep it that way. And we can create a region. And I think it's very nice for you to understand how it's made. So here, imagine that this region is similar to a geometrical set. So this is the surface. Okay, let's continue now. I want to go to the next step of the video where I'm going to split this surface, this shape here, in 2 or 4 patches. So I will divide it in 2 by 2. So I go to divide and you have this divide surface coming here. I select my my fill here and goes to the divide here. Number U and number V here is going to be 2 and 2, so it's okay. I have 4 different patch. Okay, and there again I want to disassemble that. So disassemble. So I want to have each part separately. Okay, and I'm going to make an extrude. So let's do an extrude. And for the extrude, you also need a direction. So I will go to input and select vector, and the vector appears here. And basically the vector will just mean I want to go on the set. And as you can see, it's automatically on set. So you want to make sure that the vector goes to the direction there. We can even put it on the bottom if you prefer. And then we go for each patch. But as you can see here, we have a length of 20 millimeter. I will put it back on top. And what I want is to have different lengths there. So what we need to do is to separate this or to make different lengths for these patches here. So what I can do, let me just check. What I can do is to make a random feature. or before, what I need to do after the disassemble, sorry, I need to, I have a disassemble, but I need also to make different lists. And I will go to flatten. I want to put all of them on the same level. So this is not easy to understand. That's why I think the best is to play with the tool a bit. Try to understand what all these list features are made for. But basically, if I show you here with, you see, I really want to separate all the patches. Okay, for the lens, now I'm going to do, well, I can put, first of all, a lens. The lens, 1mm. 1mm here, we can see directly, is very nice. But I want to make it a bit more funny, and I want to use a random feature. So, random, there it is. And what does this random means? First of all, he asked me how many different value you want, and there I only have 1, but I would like to have 4 because I have 4 patch. So we put 4, okay. And if I put directly to the lens there, it will not work, or it will work, but it's kind of hard to understand because here there is no lens to that random. So I will combine these two features together using a multiply. And I will multiply the random value with millimeter, and that I can put in my lens. Great. And on the random here, as you can see, it's not that high, so I will put a maximum value and a minimum value as well. I would put the maximum value to 10, and here to at least 1. Okay, so basically I say I want a number from 1 to 10, and it's going to be multiplied by 1mm. But I can also go to 2mm, 3, etc., etc. You know what? I'm going to keep it to 2. Great, so now we have the different height, and that is pretty nice. We can even see here directly that we have 4 extrude, okay? And as you can see now, I'm going to make the this thing a bit more advanced by adding an integer to my design, and I want to control the divide number here because it's limited to 2, and I want to go to divide by 3, 3 times 3, and 4 by 4, etc., etc. So I'm going to put a value in that integer, and I can also say that my minimum should be 2 and my maximum should be 20. Okay, you can even put slider. Oh wait, I will remove slider. Okay, 5, great. What happens if we go from this to this? Yes, we divide by 4, but we have still a problem with the extrude. And why do we have a problem? It's because this integer here is not linked to the value there. So to do that, you need to go here. But the problem is, it's not 5 value you want, it's 25. And for doing that, I will just bring the square feature. So I don't want 5, oops, but 25. And there it works. So now, if you want, I can even hide this region because we don't want to show the surface anymore. So you can just click directly on the eye here. So let's join all this together to make a region called height. Okay, now you can see that we have different height in our assembly, and I like this design. We can click on plus. It takes some time to update the 3D model because everything is based online, but it's going pretty well. It updates the design. Now let's make this design a bit more nice by adding some colors. How are we going to do that? You go to color and actually you need to go to Colorize, because what we want to do here is colorize this extrude. That's the object we want to colorize. Am I right? Yeah, that's the object. And I will go to, I'm going to select a color. So you can go to color chooser, for example. So you see here, you put a color. So let's put red. But this is pretty simple. Here it's only one color. Let's make a color for each of these small extrude. So I will remove this and I will go to RGBA color. So you can see you have three controllers, the red, the green and the blue. And we are going to randomize each of these value. So I go to random. And in this random, I'm going to say that the minimum should be 1 and the maximum, the minimum, so you need to click on the green here. I'm going to say that it's 1 and the maximum, so you should know it's, you have 255 as the maximum value. And of course, this number will be linked with this number as well, with the square one, because if you only put 1, it will only give you one color, so it does not work. So we will link it after. Okay, I do second, and as you can see, when I do a duplicate, it actually gives me the same quantity of min max here. It's pretty nice. And I will do the final one. There it is. Okay, so now if you see here, you have only one value. So if I color, yes, give me this value, but it's not what I want. What you want is to bring that here. And now we are starting to have more color. You see? And there it is. Now you have created a list of 49 items there, okay, because we have 50 different surface there. Okay, oops, I play a bit with the zoom. So now the only thing you need to do is to, well, actually it's almost done. The only thing you need to do is to publish the geometry. So you need to go there and say publish the geometry. And in that way, you can access this geometry on the rich client. And I will do a last point there. I will just merge this together in the same region called color. And as you can see here in the tree, you have the different regions, so you can just hide this. And now you have the color. That's pretty nice. And this small integer here, that's actually your own parameter in your design. So you know what? Number divide. And I even think you can publish this as a parameter. And if you want, you can use this feature, so you don't need to have all the line. You can just control this one. So now we can just close this. You can just go back to the 3D, oops, to screen. And we can just go to controllers and play directly there. Okay, and now you got it. You have created a surface that is divided, here in that case it's going to be 100 small cubes with different height and different colors. So I would say that this application allows you to do a very advanced shape, especially 3D shape, with no knowledge of scripts, and it's very easy to do. It's a few clicks. As you can see, it took me 20 minutes to make that. You can reuse it later on the 3D, and more or less it's moreover, it's also robust, since there is a parameter you can control. So what it could be used for? It could be used for 3D printing, of course. It could be used for architecture, if you want to make very easily building. But also it could be used for texturing, everything I want to get this kind of surface texture on the 3D part. Also linked to different, as you can see, it's different a variant shape. And finally, I would say for everything that is relatively complex in a shape that you cannot really access easily with a design application. A tiny bit of the video I forget to say is that when you are done with your design there, you need to save this. And as you can see, you can just click on the save button there. And this will be saved on your 3DExperience, and it's going to be synchronized with your rich client. So when you will open your rich client, you can access this 3D part. So that was the video for today. Thank you very much for watching us on YouTube. If you want to see more videos like that, please subscribe and visit our website www.pilmtechnology.com, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye.